Welcome to Master Phil in Your Corner. And our episode today will be filming as usual out of the Dougie Fresh Studios here with the Undefeated Studios, and have co-host here, Dougie Fresh. And today we have a very special guest. We have my daughter, Nicole Ross.
Hi.
And you say, well, what's so special about her? Well,
I'm your
one,
daughter.
she's my daughter. Two, she is extremely accomplished, and I will give a little bit of a background here, and I'm sure that I'm going to miss a couple of things, even though, because every time I turn around, she's doing something else.
She'll let you know.
Let's start on
I'll fill in the gaps.
Yeah, let's start just with the training and physical attributes. When she's an RKC level 2, she kills it with the kettlebells. 2, she's a second-degree black belt in my style at American Eagle MMA, and that's the highest rank attained by any female. And 3, she's also a powerlifting champion and going for another title the 15th of February?
Yes, February 15th.
Yeah. Pulling quite a lot of weight here. I know you're repping
245 for triples.
On your deadlift.
Yeah.
At 160, 120 pounds.
Yeah.
Good. Now, the other thing is, let's talk about some other attributes. And those actually, as well as they are.
PCC certified.
Yep.
And I was a bikini competitor.
Yes.
Placed nationally qualified at 3 different shows. What else did I do?
Oh, you did track in high school?
Yeah, I wasn't good at that one.
Yeah, well, you still did it. And then, and let's move on to some of the other things. Now, Nicole is finishing up her graduate studies in microbiology and is currently carrying a 4.0. And
For now.
Yeah, for now. And then there's 2 more classes left this spring, and then we're going to be moving on to the doctorate. Pursuing that PhD in microbiology.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, she was also 3.97 in dietetics.
Yes,
and she
nutrition and dietetics. I got my bachelor's degree with a concentration in medical nutrition. Graduated with a 3.97 and a member of 4 honor societies during my undergrad.
And graduate, we're actually
in the same
society. We're both
Golden Key scholars.
Scholars, yes, both in Golden Key scholars for our master's program. So it's kind of cool. So today we're going to address gut length, gut health, food, what we should be eating, and so forth. There's so much controversy about this, and I just want to kick this off by saying, listen. Everybody is different.
Yeah.
Like every body as in every person, and every body as in a physical body is different. And people have different needs, different wants, different desires. And the other thing is that, some people may want to not eat meat because of some type of ethical stance. And you know what? God bless you. It's up to you. That's up to you. I'm not here to pontificate on that, but we do want to discuss the health aspects and what you're doing on both sides, because there's a lot to be said about eating more vegetables and fruits and raw foods like that, as opposed to just loading up on protein. And it just seems people are all over the map with this.
Yeah.
Some people are vegans, some people just want to eat meat, some people
and
want to chew
everyone thinks
rocks.
they're right.
Yes, and everyone thinks that they're right and that theirs is the only answer.
Yeah.
And it's so polarizing too.
Yeah, extremely.
It really is. Yeah.
It
They almost turn. It's almost like they turn their diet into a religion.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just spurred a thought in my head. I mean, you think about it right now. There's so many polarizing factions. Think about, we have politics, we have religion, we have food, we have workouts. Okay, people look down on other people because of the type of training they're doing.
Yeah.
Geez, you're working out. Do something that you like. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
So, we have to look at this and take a step back and say, you know what? There is no one answer. It's a mix of answers, and a great way to start is with food and diet, because a mix is what it's all about. So let's let you run with it. And if you notice that a lot of times I have a nice amount of notes in front of me, just so I want to make all my points, or I have my my computer up in front of me, and I can refer to those notes and different sources and whatnot. But this is my source right here. I just have a couple little notes that I want to bring to light. But Nick, let's first talk about veganism and the what goes on behind veganism and the pluses, minuses, and things like that.
Well, a lot of the times for vegans, it is an ethical choice. Where the issue lies is when people conflate their ethical decisions with what they think is a health decision. So, veganism, the thing that I've noticed the most, because I was vegan for a couple years, and the thing that I've noticed the most is that a lot of people who are vegan preach that it is accessible and the right way to eat for everyone. And if there's anything that I learned in my 4 years of an undergraduate degree studying nutrition, is that there is no right way to eat for everyone. There's
Absolutely.
a right way to eat for every individual. Some people, like myself, have issues with their gut where they can't digest plant proteins. So having a vegan only approach to a diet would result in nutrient deficiencies.
Yeah, let's go. Let's talk about those nutrient deficiencies. Because I know that a lot of times, not only is B12, everyone knows that B12
Yeah,
is one of the
B12
lackings.
you can only get from animal sources.
Right.
It used to be available in our soil, but because of the way the climate has changed and the way that we've really industrialized agriculture, we've depleted it from the soil, depleted those B12 producing bacteria. So now the only way to get it is from animal sources.
Yeah, no. The other thing is too. A lot of people seem to forget is that there's other minerals in there too that are
Right.
missing, like calcium, zinc, and a host of other minerals that are necessary for proper body function.
And those you can get from plant sources, but you need to be meticulous about it. It's not like you can go and drink a cup of milk or eat a cup of yogurt and meet your calcium requirements for the day. You need to eat a lot of leafy greens. You need to eat a lot of almonds.
What are you, nuts?
Exactly. Like to get the recommended amount of calcium, you need to drink like 3 cups of almond milk.
Yeah.
As opposed to, just like 1 cup of dairy milk or something.
Right.
For people who are lactose intolerant, they don't really have a choice in that. But there are other sources of calcium too, like bone-in salmon, anchovies, stuff like that. So you can consume it and get high doses of calcium too.
Or eating the whole shrimp, like I do.
Yeah.
Even the shell?
I eat the whole shell.
Yeah.
Nice.
I
I
eat
ate the whole shell and peanuts. People may think I'm crazy.
I do.
I do.
That's nuts.
Peanuts are good though.
Yeah, but I love it, especially you get like a nice crispy shrimp and just crunch on those tails, man.
with you,
Oh yeah.
100%,
Yeah, there you go. JC likes it too.
Yeah.
I'll even eat the bones of chicken wings.
So you guys, if you want, you can totally debug, because I've been trying. I haven't eaten meat in like, what, JC, 2 months? And like it's an energy thing. So like,
how do you feel?
I feel like I have. So here's the thing.
Okay.
I eat a chicken sandwich. I kind of want to take a nap for lunch. So what I've been doing is like I might like I have
Take a
protein
nap. Problem solved.
True, but I gotta go. I'm always working, so I've been cutting it out. But there's no. Yes, if I can save some animals, great. But like it's more energy. You know what I mean?
No.
Because let me just roll this back a second and then tell me, the chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
It might not be the chicken.
That's what I was.
I'm
That's
talking
exactly
about the
what
white
I was
flour.
thinking.
Yep, it's the
Like,
white
is it
flour
breaded
in the
chicken?
bread.
Have you
But
tried
I've been
chicken
eating bread. I've
salad?
been eating bread.
Try eating chicken salad, like not chicken
Yeah,
salad,
like
but
a
a salad
salad
with
with
chicken
chicken.
on
Yeah.
it. That's what I'm gonna have when I eat something, a sandwich roll, especially made with white flour, processed. The more processed it is, as far as flour goes,
Absolutely.
the worse it is for you.
Yep.
So you know what? Here you're trying to be vegan, or you're looking at your reason for being vegan, and it might not be because of the meat, it might be because of the carb that you're consuming.
Yeah.
True.
Or it could just be the simple fact that because you're no longer eating meat, you have to replace it with things like fruits and vegetables. And just eating more of those, because there are more vitamins and minerals in that, you're inherently getting more energy. You're getting more water too, because those foods contain higher water
Yes.
content, and a lot of the times when people are dehydrated, they get really tired.
Now, another thing too is that when you're one of the things that I've worked into my diet years ago, people would go and have a cup of coffee midday. You're better off grabbing a piece of fruit. I'm going to eat an orange, a pear, a banana, like I said, I'm going to get more hydrated from that. Plus, that gives me my natural sugar energy boost. Am I being vegan or vegetarian? No, I'm just eating smart.
Yeah.
True.
Actually, funny thing about caffeinated beverages, though, they've actually shown that they're not dehydrating. They're almost exactly as hydrating as a cup of water.
And I drink coffee.
Yeah.
I
Which
drink
doesn't make sense. Yeah, coffee's most of it's water. So like, how does that even make sense?
Yeah, it's like 95% water and like 5% bean juice.
So like, how is that not hydrated?
Well, what they were probably espousing was the fact that the caffeine in itself as a stimulant is making you become
makes you pee.
dehydrated.
Yeah.
Okay?
Gotcha.
So
And
that's
it's also
why.
flushing you out too.
Yeah, but it
which is
doesn't
good.
really.
It's good to flush out. But
Yeah.
the thing is, like, hey, look, again, everything in moderation. I have my 1 cup of coffee in the morning. After that, I'm having my fruit. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you also have to look at coffee. Let's say it has a half-life of 6 hours, right? So if you have 200 milligrams of caffeine in your cup of coffee, every 6 hours it halves. So when you go to bed at night, you still have maybe 25 grams of coffee in your system, or maybe 25 grams of caffeine in your system.
So the trick is to just desensitize yourself. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
So that's why people will get a headache if they skip that day, because they wake up, they still have a little bit of that caffeine in their system.
I cut out caffeine too because I started getting caffeine headaches when I didn't drink it.
Yeah,
Well,
I did
that's-
that.
how much caffeine were you
A
drinking,
couple
though?
years ago.
Well, I mean, it was at least a cup a day, at least. But like, I mean,
Because if I don't drink coffee for the day, I'm fine.
I'm like that now. During the first year of my master's classes, I was at the point where I was drinking like 600 milligrams of caffeine a day.
That's a lot.
Easy.
That's a lot.
So I did a 30-day caffeine cleanse, and now I drink like 2 cups of coffee a day.
I even went off caffeine. I went off coffee for a year and a half, and then
It
I
was
went to
longer
Italy.
than that.
Yeah, it was really long. It was several
Yeah.
days. But then I went to Italy, and I'm like, I'm going to Italy. I'm drinking coffee. you gotta drink coffee when you're in Italy. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
sin, So then I went off, and then if I don't have it, I don't have it. If I do, but you know what? I enjoy it, and I like. And the thing is, in the morning, warm liquid is good for you to take into your system in the
Yeah.
morning.
Well,
So
the
it gets you
first thing
going.
that I do in the morning is actually I drink a giant mug of green tea.
That's great.
Yeah.
And or even just warm water. Some
but
people
come
throw a
on.
little lemon in it. Yeah, just saying.
Yeah,
It's not
to
for
each
look,
their
it's not
own.
for everybody. It's
No.
not for everybody.
Can't
But
do that.
the other thing that you seem to be that people miss, and back to the veganism thing, is long chain fatty acids. If you're not eating flesh, you're missing out on that.
Wonderful way to put it.
Yeah. Hey, look, it is what it is, So there's, I like to abide by this 80-20 rule, okay? Because I liken us to bears, okay? So, it's funny because there's some articles will say, no, we're meant to be vegetarians. We're not, okay? Other articles say, no, we're meant to be complete carnivores. Well, you know what? We're neither one. Look at a bear. Look at how strong, powerful a bear is. I mean, you look at like who would win in this fight, and bears are known as they're predators, right? They're
Yeah.
known as carnivores, but they're really not. They're omnivores.
Yeah.
They eat about 80-20. They're 80%
is
is foraging,
Yep.
berries, nuts, fruits, whatever they can get their mouths on.
I mean, look at
and the
Pooh.
20%, yeah, exactly. Loves
Winnie the
honey.
Pooh, he loves honey.
and then the other 20% is meat,
Yeah.
carrion, whatever they can catch or come upon.
Salmon,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that is how I see humans. Okay, our eyes are in the front of our head. What are we supposed to do? We're looking out.
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking out, and if you look at our guts, we don't have multiple chambers like
Like a cow.
Like a cow.
Like other ruminant animals. Yeah.
Yeah, because they eat, they chew their food and then they burp up their cud, rechew it, and put it. It goes into another stomach, and it goes in different compartments because in order to get the proper nutrients out of it, it must go through this complicated digestive process. I mean, there are some plant matter that we don't
Right.
even digest.
Cellulose, we
Cellu-
don't digest it.
Neither do
Yep.
bears.
Yep. That's how they form their plug for hibernation.
Yep.
They eat a lot of trees. And
Yep, and bark and
Bark,
stuff, and,
yep.
and just like plug up their bear hole.
Yeah.
So, so I view us as more of a bear.
Yeah.
Okay, and say, well, I don't get enough protein. Oh yeah, tell that to a bear. See how strong they are, and then that also leads me to the idea or the notion that most vegans are not strong. But okay, let me roll that back.
Okay.
Okay, because most of the ones that first of all, let me digress. Every body is different, like I said before, and there are some people who could eat trash and they're going to be built like an Adonis. Okay, because that's the way they are. But most of the people who are pretty jacked and say they're vegan became vegan. They weren't originally vegan. They were piling their muscle on with meat. And then they said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Or I'm making a stance, or I've had an epiphany, and I love cows, and I want to hug them, not eat them. So, but the thing that I'm saying that concerns me is the false representation there. Okay, most people, do not perform exceptionally well on a pure vegan diet, because it's very hard to get the proper nutrients. And the thing is, look, listen, if you're aggressive and you want to pound something, you need meat, man. You need meat. Take it away, please.
I don't necessarily agree. I think that as long as with any diet, proper planning is the biggest component. So if regardless if you're vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, paleo, keto, well, not keto.
Keto's
Not
terrible.
keto.
It's
Well,
terrible.
Here's your let me see if I can guide you guys a little bit. Here's your polarizing ideas. You have keto, which is no carbs and straight meat, eat as much bacon as you want. And then vegan, which is no meat, no animal.
Actually,
True keto, it's 85% fat, 10% protein, 5% carbs. True keto is actually a medical diet that's used for people with epilepsy and brain tumors because it deprives the brain of its primary source of energy, glucose, and forces it to use ketones for energy, which then starves the tumor and in terms of, in the case of epilepsy, changes the way that the brain's energy systems work, so it prevents epileptic seizures. The keto that is popularized today is not true keto.
No.
Because it's very high in protein, and actually what the body can do is it can turn protein into glucose in a process called gluconeogenesis. So even if you're not eating carbohydrates, your liver will turn the protein into glucose. So you're still getting glucose to your brain and your heart and everything.
now, let me ask you something. Now, that being said, does that stress the liver out to a degree? Because I know that one of the major issues with people taking steroids is that the liver gets stressed out because it's trying to break down the carbon-14. That's the element that keeps it in your system. And then when you eat certain meats, like deli meats and things like that, when someone's taking steroids, they it's recommended that you do not do that because it stresses out the liver. Would a keto diet be more stressful on the liver?
No. Gluconeogenesis is a natural process that occurs all the time. It occurs when we're even fasting, when our bodies break down the components in our fat cells, or, if you're fasting for an extended period of time, it can delve into your muscle cells as well.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, too, that occurs.
Breaking down that, the liver constantly fluctuates between glycogenolysis, which is the production of glycogen, and gluconeogenesis, which is the breakdown of glycogen and the production of glucose.
Yeah, no, okay.
With steroids, I think I don't know a lot about the deli meat thing, but it's because the liver has to detoxify the blood.
Right, and it's fighting against its
and maybe there's components in the deli meats that are just harder to break
nitrates.
down. Yeah.
I mean, the thing that we were talking about was the brain uses sugar for energy.
Yeah.
This is why people get clouded thought when they are depleted from carbohydrates. This is, I mean, look, if it's between I'm going to die because I'm trying to starve this tumor, or I'm going to think clearly. Well, you know what? I'm going to maybe not think so clearly and try not to die.
Yeah.
Okay. To starve this tumor. But the brain operating without sugars is extremely detrimental.
You need a minimum of 135 grams of carbohydrates a day ingested for proper brain function.
Now, does the brain work better when it's in a keto state?
No.
No.
Okay,
No.
so the whole bulletproof coffee thing, the whole putting butter and coconut water in your in the coffee. Hey, I'm just going with these are going to be the questions, and I'm just the
Yeah.
Hey, good. I'm glad
It's-
to entertain them.
Unless someone
But
has
these are the fads that are going on. You go to Whole Foods right now, they have huge jugs of bulletproof coffee, and I've tried it, and you feel like if you feel better, a little bit of a kick, but I'm sure that's because of the butter and the.
Yeah, so the whole thing with the bulletproof coffee, it's like the butter is supposed to kind of dull the caffeine crash and extend how long the caffeine is in your system because it binds to the fat molecules and it's not digested and excreted as quickly.
So it's like soaking it up and making
Yeah,
Yeah,
sucks
so
it up.
it makes it stay in your stomach longer and stay in your intestines longer. So it's like a slow release form of caffeine essentially instead of just water, we're able to go straight through your system.
Gotcha.
But in terms of keto, unless you're dying of a brain tumor, or have some form of really bad epilepsy where it's not able to be managed properly by medication, there's really no reason to do it, especially if you're a strength athlete. If you're a strength athlete, do not go anywhere near keto because
No.
anytime that you do any sort of body weight workout, weight workout, kettlebell workout, martial arts, anything that's involving any type of explosive power, you're depleting your muscles of glycogen. And unless you refuel those, eventually your body's going to stop dipping into your fat stores and it's going to start dipping into your muscle
That's
stores.
exactly where I was going with this. And I mean, look,
Yeah.
if you don't have the sufficient amounts of carbohydrates and sugars, how are you going to produce the ATP enough
Yeah.
for that explosive
Now,
explosive movement? It's not going to
back
happen.
to your original question about vegan athletes, that is the part of veganism that's really great is that they focus on getting a lot of complex carbohydrates, a lot of fiber, a lot of sugars.
Well, tell us, and listen, because when you say complex carbohydrates, sugars, and stuff like that, a lot of people are under misconceptions. Why don't we give some examples of these complex carbs that people should be eating
break it
and the
down, I
sugars
wanna know.
that they should be eating?
Yeah.
Because many people hear, oh, complex carbs and sugar, great, I'm going to have a candy sandwich. You know?
So a complex carb is not a carbohydrate that thinks intently about the fate of the universe. It's things like whole grains, so oatmeal,
Right.
brown rice, whole grain pasta, whole grain bread, potatoes, sweet potatoes. Those are all complex carbohydrates.
So when people are shopping,
Yeah.
and they go and they look on the shelf and they grab their bread or they grab their crackers.
Mm-hmm.
If it says enriched as the first ingredient, you know what you do? You put it back on the shelf.
Yes.
Okay?
I mean, some enriched isn't necessarily bad. Enriched just means that they've added vitamins and minerals to it, which is actually required by the FDA if it's under a certain percentage.
What if it's the like enriched flour or processed flour?
Well, processed is different than enriched. Processed has a lot of the times it means that the flour has been heated, stripped of fiber and the endogerm, and then processed in some other way.
Right.
You know, maybe bleached. Bleached is what I would look out for
Yes.
as opposed to enriched. Enriched is fine. Enriched just means that they've added vitamins to it. Like 99.9% of the time they'll add B vitamins to cereals and breads, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with
What
that.
about looking for the words whole grain, whole wheat?
Yeah, so that's great. As long as about 2/3 of your grains are whole grains, the other 1/3 can be white flour. It's not going to
It's
kill
not
you.
going to kill you.
It's-
Well, that's what I'm saying.
there's
If you want
nothing
your
wrong with
if you want to
that.
have your pizza once a
Yeah.
week or something, great. You have your pizza every day, you're going to have issues.
Or even like if you have, 3 meals a day with carbohydrates, 2 of them have whole grains and 1 of them has white flour. It doesn't matter. Especially if you're getting a variety of foods from other sources. So if you're getting a variety of vegetables, a variety of fruits, you're getting enough fiber and you're getting enough vitamins and minerals, you can have that 2 slices of white bread.
I'll tell you, back in the 70s and early 80s, people were into wheat germ. What do you think of wheat germ?
I mean, if
As
you
a
want to
supplement.
eat it as a supplement, I've never looked into it as a supplement,
yeah,
but
to supplement your diet, like mix it into yogurt or something. We used to do that back in the day.
yeah, I
was
mean, it's you don't have to do it if you want to do it. It's fine. As long as everything else is in balance, so there's no
No reason,
real
no
need.
reason to do it.
Unless you like it, you don't have to do it. Yeah. It's like that with a lot of things with nutrition, though. Like, there's no one way to do it.
Right.
So there's something that works for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things that I want to put forth because there's many different ways you can go. And I was looking at the stuff like a flexitarian or a semi-vegetarian and things
Yeah.
like that. I mean, again, you have to find what's going to work well for
Yeah.
you, and you have to find your path.
And you
The
also
thing-
don't have to label it.
No, that is the other thing.
Yeah.
Everyone has an identity. Okay, how about I don't know? This is what I ate today. Okay, what does it
Yeah.
make me?
I mean,
I'm a pastatarian.
I'm not vegan or vegetarian anymore, but like some weeks I just feel like having tofu as my protein source.
Right.
So I'll do that. Or like I'll have one meal that's completely meatless. I'll do like a whey protein in the morning and like beef at night. I don't know.
Yeah, like a lot of times I'll eat hummus as my source of protein, or have a bunch of
Yeah.
nuts. Doesn't mean that's defines me. I mean, I basically consider myself a fooditarian.
I used to be on a strict seafood diet. I used to eat food.
everything's
Seafood,
Yeah.
you eat it?
Which is always good. So there also there's a lot of notion now going on. People talk about GMO. Okay, I know. Okay? Because look at if you look at everything.
We've been genetically modifying organisms since the beginning of agriculture. If
Thank
you
you.
look back, even breeding of farm animals,
saying,
selectively
yeah,
breeding,
look at
that's
dogs.
genetically modifying things.
Yes.
In terms of genetically engineered, where we're modifying it in the lab, only 3 crops in the United States are genetically modified: soy, corn, and cotton. We don't eat cotton. Most of the corn.
Oh no! Actually, Will Ferrell and
Elf.
ate cotton balls. I'm just putting it for the record. Just putting it out there.
Most people do not eat cotton.
Okay.
The corn that we modify, first of all, not all of it's modified, and the majority of the corn that we do modify goes towards animal feed. Same thing with soy. So
Wait a minute. You are what you eat. So now, if we eat a cow that's eating modified
Absolutely.
corn,
Right? No?
how does that? How does that
So-
affect us?
if you really think, well, not if you really think about it. Most people don't know this,
Right.
but we don't absorb the DNA that we eat.
Thank
it's
you.
broken down.
It's broken down.
So if we
Yes.
eat something, no matter what its genetics are, I mean, if you're eating a tomato, you're not going to start sprouting plants out of your head. It's like we eat plants, we don't turn into plants. So just because we eat something that has been modified doesn't mean that we're going to become modified or our genes are going to get modified. Actually, I think it's like every 10,000 times that a gene replicates, and genes are constantly replicating. DNA is constantly being made and destroyed inside cells as cells are growing. Even inside our own bodies, our cells are constantly being renewed. There are mutations that just happen spontaneously. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's actually how most of our current crops have come to arise, because spontaneous mutations occurred. The farmers saw them and liked them, so then they started selectively breeding those plants.
My grandfather used to do that too. He had his nice little garden in the backyard, and he would genetically modify the vegetables he had. He would
Yeah.
take the biggest beefsteak, tomatoes, save the seeds, and then plant them the next
Yep.
year. He would take the hottest peppers, the seeds from the hottest Italian peppers, and save them, and then plant them the next year, and that would make his crop better and better, and
Yep.
hotter and hotter and bigger, and that's GMO.
Yeah.
That's genetic modification.
There have been scientific studies done showing that some people get concerned about nutrient value, and the nutrient value between a genetically modified plant and its non-modified counterpart are exactly the same. The profiles are exactly the same. And actually, genetic modification it was almost used, but the whole project got called off with Bill Gates' golden rice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard about that. But back in the 80s or 90s, Bill Gates funded a project to make this golden rice. So in third world countries, their main source of food is rice.
Yes.
So he started designing, or he funded a project to design rice that contained extra B vitamins and just a whole lot of nutrients that these people were not getting from their rice crops. And because of the B vitamins and everything, the rice took on a golden color. It wasn't white. And yeah.
That's
So,
cool.
but unfortunately, because of backlash from the public and everything, thinking that this was like some crazy alien rice, the project never got off the ground. But it's things like that where if we can modify plants to express genes for vitamins and minerals that they wouldn't normally express, we can solve a lot of problems in other areas of the world that aren't as well off as the United States or Europe.
Man, I want some golden rice. I don't know. I want a
sounds
big
really
bowl.
good,
It sounds
right?
good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Got a whole bunch of vitamins in there. Scoop it up.
Yeah, it's like super highly enriched rice.
Yeah.
But
I'll work out after that.
yeah, exactly.
So, to sum of this up, we are recommending that people start with a balanced diet
Yes, that is the most important thing.
and then move from there. So, look, I when I talk to people about training, they say, "Oh, what stance should I be in?" I say, "You know what? Start with shoulder width and move either in or out." Okay. Same thing with your food. Start with, a balanced diet, having 20% animal protein.
Yeah.
Have your grains, have your fruits, have your vegetables,
Or
have
even
your
don't-
dairy if you can tolerate
Yeah,
it.
don't worry about the percentages even at first. Just focus on getting variety. If you get variety,
Well,
you'll naturally get
just
most
as,
of what you need.
yeah, as a longtime trainer and advocate and so
Yeah.
forth, I said people need a place to start.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I want to go with giving them percentages.
Yeah.
Hey, start here. See how that works for you. Hey, do I have energy? Do I feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Are my numbers at the doctor good? Am I maintaining weight, gaining weight, losing weight, whatever you want to do? You're achieving your goals. But if they start with something that's a little more concrete, I find that they can then go from there. But
Yeah.
providing a person a base to move from is always, I found, more beneficial.
A lot of the times what I'll do with my nutrition clients is not focus on changing, but focus on adding.
Yep.
So I'll, instead of, making them right off the bat do 80% healthy, 20% whatever. If they're coming to me, right, if they're coming to me eating only fast food and Taco Bell, that type of change, they're not going to be able to do it. They're going to get discouraged. They're not going to stick with it. So what I'll have them do is, add in 3 servings of fruit over the course of, the next 5 days. Add in 4 to 5 servings of vegetables each week. Like if someone's starting from nothing, just that will be a lot. And, we add onto that every week. And then eventually we start taking things out, making replacements. So if you're struggling with your diet, the best thing to do is to start adding. So add fruits, add vegetables, and then gradually start taking away after you've added in. Because if you just take away without adding in first, I know you know this, but it sets people up for failure, and it's hard to stick to, and they get discouraged.
And another thing I do too, and I'm sure I know you do this as well, is that you make them write down everything they ate for the week, and then you give substitutions too. So you know what? Instead of having a candy bar, have a piece of fruit. And here's the thing, when you say,
Or even trail mix, because that's a simpler swap, and then we move to the fruit. So it's like everything in steps,
But here's the thing too, and I say, you put it all in perspective. Look, if you're sitting there and let's say it's a hot day, and you're doing something in the yard, you're sweating, and someone comes up with a fresh bowl of strawberries. Wow. How awesome is that? Nice, cool, out of the refrigerator, these luscious strawberries, and you eat them up. So everyone's mouth watering right now because mine is.
I love strawberries, so.
Okay, now, let's say you just ate a chocolate bar and somebody comes to you with the strawberries. Are they even Are they as appetizing anymore? Not quite. Okay. But
Yeah.
It's why, because your satiation has been met with something that was more laden
Yeah.
with sugar. Okay, so it's all about those choices. That's why, you know what? Choose to have the strawberries. Choose the watermelon.
If you tell
choose the
yourself
fruit.
you can't have something, you're going to want it that much more.
Yep. So say, you know what? This is what I want.
And it's the
go for
same
the
thing with
fruit.
exercise, too. You know, if you tell yourself, oh, I need to do this, say, I get to do this.
Oh yeah, it's all
Yeah.
about attitude. That's why I say, you know, I go every time you train, look at it as an
Yeah.
opportunity to improve yourself.
Yeah.
Look at every time I hit a kettlebell swing, I look at this as an opportunity to get better at my swing. Every time I do push-ups, an opportunity to get stronger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you want to look at it. You want to look at, oh gosh, I got to do this now. Oh my god,
Have to do
this is
this?
terrible.
Oh my God.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So, well, Nick,
Can we take a caller?
oh yeah, absolutely. Let's take a caller.
We got a
now.
caller.
Oh, we got a caller.
We got a
Call in.
caller.
All right. Who do we have here?
Michael O'Hagan.
Michael O'Hagan. The man, the myth, the legend, Mike O'Hagan. We're going to pipe him in right here.
You made a comment about climate change. I'm confused. But
I thought it was at the beginning.
Hopefully we can get a connection here. Mike, we're calling you, buddy. Any other? Hopefully Mike will pick up.
Hello.
Hey, Mike. It's Phil Ross. How you
Yeah.
doing? Welcome to Master Phil in your corner.
Hey, how are you?
Hey. Here, you're running live with us, buddy. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I was, I've been friends with Mr. Ross for many, many years, and I was watching it. It looks like you got a real slacker sitting across the table.
You know that, Mike. You and I breed slackers, right?
Yeah, I do. I have one that looks and acts just like her. But it's awesome. No, I just wanted to call and congratulate you guys. It's good stuff you're talking about, and I was wondering what your thought on the hereditary side. You know, we talk about diet, and you know, I've gained and lost the same 700 pounds over my career. So I was wondering what you guys felt, how much genetics has to do with it. I know in my family, you know, there's 6 of us. 3 of us have bad knees, and 3 of us don't. The doctor said there's nothing you can do about it. It's
Yeah.
just the way your genes are. I was wondering what you guys all felt about what percentage genetics and your other stuff has to do with it.
Great question. You know, the thing is that, the only kind of genes you can change are the ones you take on and off every day. And that's the only ones you can change. You're born with what you're born with. Heredity is heredity. But there's things that you can do to stave off weight gain or strengthen up the knees and avoid certain things. And that is again, it's something that you can't change. But Miss Nick, why don't you take it?
So, actually, it's really interesting that you ask about genetics. I do genetic research right now.
Another thing.
Yeah. Not specifically on, genes that involve weight management, but there have been genes that have been discovered that, predetermine someone's natural set point. That's not to say that you can't change it, though. A lot of the times.
Excuse me. What is your set point? What is that?
So
term?
that's kind of like the
Like fighting weight.
the weight that your body kind of naturally gravitates towards. Some people, tend to gain weight more easily. Some people have a hard time keeping weight on, and that part is determined by your genetics. But you can definitely not. What's the word I'm looking for? You can.
You can minimize the effect.
Yes, you can minimize the effect. Thank you. Brain is
why I'm the host.
not exactly. By engaging in an exercise routine that works for you, keeping on top of your diet, and also staying on top of your gut health. So the bacteria in our gut, we can actually exchange some DNA with them because when they die, they release their DNA and it actually is broken down and absorbed into our bodies. And the composition of our gut affects our metabolism. So
Gotcha.
if you don't have a healthy gut, your metabolism can actually be slower because those bacteria in your gut produce certain vitamins and minerals that go on to kind of enhance our own metabolism and our own use of our diets.
Now, do you recommend taking acidophilus or something along those lines?
I would look for, in terms of a probiotic, something that contains a lot of different strains. So all the research that I've read has shown that only taking 1 or 2 strains of probiotics can actually make the situation worse because you're just filling your gut with like two different types of bacteria. But there are some companies that make like 32 strain probiotics. So something like that where you're getting a variety. So just like diet, getting a variety is the most important thing.
And the live culture is better, right?
Yes. So something that you need to refrigerate.
Yeah.
Preferably.
Gotcha.
Like
Gotcha.
going with
All
trends.
right, well,
like,
Phil, I got to jump. I just wanted
All right.
to call.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. And Phil, all the best. You know how much I love your
I
family.
love you,
All the
brother.
best to you and those guys.
All right. Thank you. Love you too, bud.
sorry. So we got another caller, but
All right.
before we go with that, live culture is Kambuka. That's like a trend. I'm gonna bring you guys the trends that
Yeah,
people
we're
think.
gonna-
the stupid
Yeah.
trends that you guys need to debug. So what about Kambuka or whatever? Kambuka, whatever.
It's fine if you like it. It's
So is
it's not.
Is that live culture?
It
that's good
is,
for your
yeah.
stomach?
And the thing with that though is that you don't always know the variety and how much, like the dose of the bacteria that you're gonna get. It is definitely a probiotic and prebiotic source though.
All right.
Gotcha.
So we have
it is
time for
good.
one more caller,
Okay.
and who's this we're pulling up?
Patrick Ray.
Patrick Ray. All right. Patrick Ray coming on. So this is the last caller we can take today. This is All Good Things Must Come to an End. Hey, Patrick Ray. This is Phil Ross here. How you doing? You're on Master Phil in your corner.
Yeah. First, I want to, put a big thank you for everything you put out there.
My pleasure.
Videos and stuff. It's been a great help for my athletes and even for me throughout the years.
Awesome. Glad you're loving it, brother.
Yeah.
So,
I got a kind of question for you, though.
Yes, sir.
More for your underachieving daughter over there. But, as a chef, I work late nights, and, my biggest problem is I'm always getting home from work late, and that's when I seem to snack the worst. Yeah, there's those laughs that then we'll get. Then, as you've known, sir, I've always struggled my weight back and forth.
Yep.
Your loving father used to always make jokes about it. But, what kind of things can I do to kind of help me with those late night snacking binges?
So my biggest thing would be to have something with protein and healthy fats ready. So it's maybe like yogurt with some almonds, fruits. Keep stuff on hand that you can eat and then leave the kitchen. So make it, leave the kitchen, and don't go back in the kitchen.
it's hard for a chef, but
yeah. I mean, I love to cook. I love to bake, and I've struggled with the same thing at night. I'll just like want to pick on everything. You just have your snack. If it has protein and healthy fats, it'll keep you satiated. Some sort of fruit or something if you have a sweet tooth, or, cheese and crackers if you've got a salty tooth. But something with proteins and fats to keep you satiated and just get out of the kitchen.
And
That's the
here's the other
biggest
thing, just to expand on that notion. One, what are you doing when you come home? You're watching TV?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the number one killer right there. When you have the remote in your hand, you have food in the other. So you need to limit that time or eliminate it. I know, look, it's tough to limit. It's a good way to unwind, but maybe change the habit a little bit. You only do a half hour in front of the TV, and then read a book.
Or have a cup of tea when you watch TV instead of snacking on things.
And then what you do with that snack, again, like Nicole said, was have it prepared, okay, and limit it to that exact amount. But once you're done with that, you're done with it, and that's going to be the tough part. And I'll tell you, what? Well, everyone knows I'm crazy. I don't care. So when I'm getting hungry and stuff, and people, my family knows too, I'll jump down the floor. I'll bang out some push-ups or sit-ups. What that does, that curbs my hunger. Because I know my dad. And God rest his soul, those are my genes I inherited, and I have to keep that weight off, So that's one of the methods that I've used. I'll just drop down, do some sit-ups, push-ups, squats, whatever.
Also making sure that you're getting enough to eat while at work, because a lot of the times, especially people with busy jobs, you're a chef, you're constantly on your feet, running back and forth, tasting things, preparing things, making sure that you make time to eat and get enough food in during the day will prevent those cravings and those binges later at night.
That's great. My wife makes fun of me. I just went out and bought a treadmill because I was like, how about when I come home at night, I go walking on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Stand in front of the TV.
Yeah. Hey.
You know what? That's a great
it's
alternative to sitting and eating while watching TV.
Yep. Just get and don't try to kill yourself. Don't go, oh gosh, I'm gonna walk an hour. You start with 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So go to 15 and then build up. Don't try to make it dread. Don't involve that dread factor. Have it, hey, I'm getting to do this. I'm getting to watch TV. I'm getting to walk, getting to exercise, take a shower, boom. Have a little cup of tea, a little snack, and you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you know me. I'm not going to go run for an hour.
Oh, man. Oh, Patrick, do we help you out here?
Yeah, you helped me out a lot, as always. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, man. Take care. Take care. Great talking to you.
Take care.
All right, brother. Be good. All right, guys. So if anybody else has anything they want to ask us, you can PM either of us on Facebook. Yeah. And other than that, we're going to wrap up this session. I'd like to, of course, thank Dougie Fresh. And, of course, thank my lovely and intelligent daughter, Nicole. Underachieving sloth of a daughter for coming in and being our special guest on our podcast today. This is Master Phil in your corner. Strength and honor.